Thank you for taking the time to review this video. In this video today, I will cover how to complete the COVID-19 Child Care Stabilization Grant application. My name is Carol Prentice, and I'm working as a Special Projects Manager with THREAD and the COVID-19 federal stimulus funding. The funding for these grants is made possible through the American Rescue Plan Act, also referred to as ARPA. THREAD is pleased to be partnering with the State of Alaska's Child Care Program Office, which is the lead agency, and THREAD is acting as the intermediary to oversee the grant application and check disbursement processes. So today we'll be discussing how to complete the application, and there are a few steps for that. First, we'll cover the Google Chrome web browser and how to download that application to your computer. Second, you will need the URL for the application, which you can find on the THREAD website, threadalaska.org/COVID relief. And finally, the documents that were reviewed in the earlier video, how to prepare for the application. A link to this video is also on the THREAD website. So let's pull up the application. Okay, the application is in 6 parts. I'll scroll quickly down the screen so that you can get an idea of the various parts in the application. Part 1 is the applicant and program information, which is actually the longest part. Part 2 is the program capacity. Part 3 is program expenses. Part 4 is the use of the funds. 5 covers the IRS W9 form. And finally, part 6 is the acknowledgement statement and the electronic signature and verification of that signature. We will be reviewing each of these parts in detail. So as I said, the first thing you need to do is to download Chrome, and you're able to do that by clicking this link here. I've already taken that step, and so I know that this is what you'll see when you click on that. And then I could download Chrome and just follow the instructions to download that browser to my computer. Second, you could download the W9 form here if you haven't already done so. This is the opportunity to do that at this place. And finally, you have the opportunity to translate the application into a variety of languages. And to do this, I hit Control click because I'm working on a Mac. But if you're working on a PC, then you just right click. So once I do that, I will click in this box and say translate to English. It's already in English, but if I click on these 3 dots, I have the opportunity to choose a different language. And as you can see, the selection is quite expansive. So I'm going to stay with English because that's the language that I'm most comfortable with. And let me point out too, that in order to get that drop-down box, you need to be outside of any of the fillable fields. So you'd want your cursor to be over in the outside of those and just on the general form. Okay, so let's get started with the first part of the application. So applicant and program information. Well, first of all, the name of the person completing the application. That's me, so I go ahead and type my name in there. In the event that I were not the program administrator or owner, but was filling this out on behalf of someone else, then I would type that person's name in this box, the program administrator or owner. And next, I would type in the legal name of the program. Now, I created kind of a sample program for purposes of these videos, and I called my childcare Morning Sun Childcare. So I'll put that in because that's also my legal business name that shows up on my State of Alaska business license. However, if my program name were different than my legal business name, there's an opportunity to complete that here. Next is the program ISIS number, which is the Integrated Child Care Information System number. We covered this in quite some detail in the How to Prepare video, so I won't review this again. but this is the number that is generated from our State of Alaska Child Care Program office. Okay, next I have the program mailing address. The one thing that's important to note here is that it's the mailing address, which may be different than your program physical address. So this happens to be both my mailing address and my physical address. The city, obviously these have been pre-populated to make it a little easier. Email is important because this is the email that Thread will use to contact you if we have questions about your application. If it's missing something, something seems incorrect, then this is the email we would use for that correspondence. Similarly, the phone number that you enter here is the phone number Thread will call to follow up with any questions on your application. Okay, so let's talk about demographics. One thing to note is that we're asking here for the demographics of the program administrator or the owner. And so if you're filling this out again on behalf of someone else, be sure and answer these questions for them, or refer this section to them, or ask them how they'd like it completed. So gender, male, female, and other. You may want to check other if you consider yourself non-binary, non-gender conforming, or something beyond or outside of male or female. You have an opportunity to fill this box in, but as you can see, there's no asterisk here, so you're not required to. So I'm going to put female, I'm going to put white, and I'm going to put not Latino. So then we move down to program status. And program status, the first question asks about your current childcare license facility type. And on my made up childcare license, it says that I'm a licensed childcare center. So I'm going to check this. And again, we covered this in more detail, and yes, in the how-to video, how to prepare for your application video. So if I were to check approved relative or in-home care, I would get a drop-down box that says, was my relative or in-home care approved on or before March 11th, 2021? And is it still approved the day that I'm applying, making this application? So if I respond yes, I continue on through the application. If I respond no, I get this message thanking me for my interest and letting me know I'm not eligible at this time for this funding. Similarly, if I check none, then I get a similar message letting me know that I'm not available for this particular funding. But I'm going to go back and correct this because I am a licensed child care center. And the next question is, what is the current program status today? Is it open or is it temporarily closed? If I were to put temporarily closed, but planning to reopen, I would be asked what the reason was. Was it COVID-19 related or was it other? What date is the program planning to reopen? There's a pop-down box here, so I can say, I'm planning to reopen September 13th. And oops, but I don't want to fill that out because I'm going to go back and change it to being open. Is the program reopening dependent on receiving this grant? And if I click yes, then it's asking me, what is the amount that I need to reopen? Maybe I have a backlog of expenses because I've had to be closed, whatever it is. And then you have the opportunity to complete this here with an amount. So I'm going to go back and put that I am open. Okay, next I'm asked if my program provides any of these additional services. Infant toddler services, am I part of Learn and Grow, Quality Recognition and Improvement System? Do I accept child care assistance, children with disabilities, and do I provide non-traditional hours? So I can click as many of these as apply to my program. So I'm going to click those three. If none of them apply, you could click none. And finally, program technology. What device do I use most often? I'm the program owner or administrator, so I can answer for myself. And I use a computer laptop. You can only select one of these options. Okay, so I think I've completed all of those. And if I haven't, when I get to the bottom of the application, it will let me know. So the next section we're going to look at is program capacity. Again, we discussed yesterday, in yesterday's video about the license capacity found on the child care program license. My capacity is 25. Currently, I only have 20 children enrolled, but I really would like to be back up to that 25 number. So I'm a little below capacity right now. And why is that? Well, I'm short-staffed and I'm having trouble filling all the positions. You can check as many of these as apply. And then finally, the part 3 is the program expenses. And again, we covered this in quite some detail in the how to prepare video, in which we demonstrated an estimator, so you could calculate your monthly expenses. It gives all the breakdown of all the categories that are eligible that you can use this funding for. And it's a really helpful tool to calculate those monthly expenses if you don't already know these. Well, let's say I've already done this and my monthly expenses are $5,000. And then in addition to that monthly amount, how much do I need to stabilize the program over the next 12 months, in addition to that estimated monthly amount? Again, maybe I'm backlogged on my rent or my equipment or something else. So I'm going to say that I need $1,000 to kind of catch up. If you, in fact, don't need any additional funding, then you should enter 0 because this is a required field. So otherwise you'll have to go back and fill that in. So if future funding is available, what frequency of future payments will help my program improve long-term stability? Do I think that one single payment is what I need? Do I think that multiple payments while funding is still available would best help me? Or is it something else? And if it is something else, I could write in what that is. I'm going to say multiple payments while funding is still available. And then based on my program's current situation, am I concerned about the possibility of needing to close in the next 6 to 12 months? You can answer yes or no. I'm going to answer no because I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to stay open for the next 6 to 12 months. And do I currently pay myself as the program administrator or owner? And again, I'm going to say yes. So part 4 is the use of the funds. This gives a general idea of the categories of funding that are considered appropriate and approved for the purposes of this grant. And what we're asking you is to pick the 3 that you think will be the top categories of how you'll spend this funding. I do want to point out that this is not a commitment. It won't limit you if you do find it necessary to utilize the funds for something different than what you indicated here. So I'm going to put renter mortgage, personnel, and PPE, personal protective equipment. And here we are at part 5, which is the IRS Form W9. And again, we went over in detail how to complete the W9 in the how to prepare for your application video. So I won't cover that again here, but you will need to upload your completed and signed W9 form if you did not receive Thread's COVID-19 Quality Initiative 2 in 2020. So I'm going to try both these responses. If I say, yes, I did get a Quality Initiative 2 grant, then it lets me know that my W9 is already on file. So that makes it easy and I don't need to upload it again. And if I click no, then I'm asked to upload my completed and signed W9 form, which I would do by choosing this file and then clicking on this button, then choosing the file, and it will upload and be attached to your application. But I'm not going to do that there. I'm going to click yes. Okay, and finally, that brings us to the acknowledgement and signature, which is a very important section. You'll want to read each of these items carefully because in signing your application, you're agreeing to the terms that are laid out here. I'd like to take just a minute to point out something particularly important, and that is at the several bullets down when it says, I understand that the grant period is 1 month from the date of program receiving the funds. So on the date that Morning Sun Childcare receives my check from Thread, the grant period is from that day forward 1 month. And during that 1 month grant period, I'm certifying that I will follow CDC guidelines. And you can read the details here. But also I'm agreeing that for each employee, that I will continue to pay at least the same amount of weekly wages, maintain the same benefits, et cetera. So in other words, I'm not reducing anyone's salary. I'm not laying anyone off during that month, and keeping their benefits and their salary the same. And finally, that I will provide relief from tuition payments and co-payments for the families enrolled in the program to the extent possible. So this is saying, in good faith, I will make my best effort to service my families in the best way I can, and make that a priority. So let's say I've read those, excuse me, I understand them, and now I'm ready to click the submit button. I'm going to do that, and if I've forgotten anything or overlooked anything, it will tell me, it will send me back to that location. Well, this time I didn't miss anything. So this is my opportunity to review the entire application and make sure that I have everything correct. And so I do that and I come down, and now it's time for my electronic signature. This is the fun part. So I have two options here, and one is for me to actually try to write out my name. So, with a kind of click process, if I were to finish my name. So I'm not very happy with how that looks. So I'm going to click type your name to sign. And then I get this signature that looks a lot better than the other one. And finally, I need to put my email address, because I will receive an email immediately telling me that my application has been received and asking me to verify my application. So these are a couple of really important steps here. So I'm going to submit my signed response. And in just a minute, I will receive, and this lets me know that I've submitted it. And then I will be receiving an email from Thread that I need to open, and then I need to click on the verification URL that's highlighted, and I will receive another email that lets me know that my application has been finalized. So those are a couple of important steps. And I'm going to pop over to my email and see, there we go. Okay. So here's the verification email. And then I click on the highlighted URL. And then I get this email that says that it's been verified. So this is your way to know that Thread has received your application. You can be confident of that. And also it's handy because if I click here, I can access my record, my application. And also you have the opportunity to do that in the email that you will receive from Thread. You can always go back and refer to your application. And that's it. That completes the application process. Couple things to note as we close out. One is that this application, as I said, is available on the Thread website. Two is that Thread is offering webinars over the next several weeks. We will be providing further assistance and having a live question answer period. So if any of this is unclear, we are happy to clear up your questions then. And also that Thread is developing a frequently asked question, or FAQ, section of their website. And as we get questions, as we think of things, we'll be building out that FAQ section and adding to it. So I encourage you to check back with that. So thank you very much for joining us for this How to Complete Your COVID-19 Childcare Stabilization Grant Application. Have a good day.